we'll get started. Major?
Just real quick, we need to clarify one thing from yesterday. The name of the victim here is Sandy Guardiola. It's S-A-N-D-Y. I think we gave it as Sandra, but it's actually Sandy. There's a few details we're able to give today that we weren't able to give yesterday. We can confirm that a handgun was recovered from inside the residence. It is Ms. Guardiola's issued duty weapon for parole, and we can confirm at least one round was fired from that gun inside the residence. Exchange of gunfire occurred after that with the officer from Canandaigua Police Department. She was in the apartment by herself. There was no one else in the apartment with her when the incident happened. It was just a police officer, Ms. Guardiola. At autopsy today, preliminary results of the autopsy are that Ms. Guardiola died as a result of a gunshot wound. Final autopsy results will be several months before we have any definite conclusions or final findings on that. Anything else, we'll open it up for questions.
Do we know what led to that altercation between Sandy and the officer?
What exactly led to it, we can't say that at this point.
Do you have any idea why she wasn't answering the door when the parole officer called the apartment, to have a welfare check? Do you know why that happened in the first place?
We can only speculate as to why she wouldn't answer the door. She didn't show up for work that day. That's why parole became concerned and wanted her welfare checked upon. She'd been in a car accident a few weeks before that and suffered some injuries. She'd been out of work for a little while, and she was supposed to report back to work on that morning, and she didn't, so they became concerned, and that's why they wanted her welfare checked on.
So she wasn't in work for a couple weeks?
That's correct.
Okay. 3 weeks? Is there a specific time she wasn't at work?
I'm not sure exactly. It was 2 to 3 weeks. It was a car accident. She had some injuries from the accident. That's why she was out.
Was it a car accident here in the Rochester area?
It was down in the southern tier.
Okay.
Any idea how many? Were about 2 shots fired between? So did both of them, the officer and the parole officer, both fire shots?
I'll say they both fired shots, yes.
How many times was she hit?
I'm not releasing it.
Can we have the name of the Canandaigua police officer?
We're not releasing the name of the police officer. That's up to the chief if he wants to release that. I don't believe they do.
We're not going to release the name at this time.
Okay. Any idea when?
No.
During this time, what was the officer doing during the time of the shooting? Why did he go to the shooting?
He was, like we said yesterday, he was dispatched there. Pinnacle North had placed a 911 call requesting an officer for a check of welfare at that location. So that's why he responded.
And then any idea, you kind of mentioned this, but just why she didn't answer the door, why they had to kind of force entry into the apartment?
Well, there was no forced entry into the apartment. As to why she didn't answer the door, there's only one person who can answer that, and unfortunately, we're not going to have an opportunity to interview her. It was a decision she made, and the officer gained entry lawfully to make sure that she was all right, and that was the hope when he got there.
Where was she in the apartment, and what was she doing when he entered?
She was in the bedroom in the apartment.
She had a gun with her in the bedroom?
That's correct.
Was there dialogue between the two before these shots were exchanged?
Yes, there was dialogue between the two.
Do you know how long a dialogue
A short period. A short period.
Is there any indication that Sandy was acting in self-defense?
We have no indication of that at this point, but our investigation is still ongoing. We don't want to rush to any judgments here, make any preliminary decisions. We want to make sure we have all the facts before we report it.
And just so I'm correct, this has not been considered friendly fire?
No, it's not.
No.
She was not acting in her capacity as a parole officer at the time. She was just happened to be a parole officer. It was an interaction that could have happened with any citizen.
And being in that accident, did Sandy have any kind of mental health issues after, or any medical?
We're not going to be able to discuss that.
So was the police officer the one who shot the parole officer?
Can you say that again?
Was the Canandaigua police officer the one who shot the parole officer, Sandy?
That's correct.
Was the police officer hit?
He was not.
Where was Sandy shot? Do you know?
I don't know if we want to release that at this point until we get the final results.
The autopsy.
When we get the final results.
But it is clear she died because of the gunshot.
Correct.
And then you might have said this, did she die at the apartment or at the hospital or at what point in time?
She was transported to the hospital. She was pronounced at the hospital.
At Thompson?
Correct.
When was Sandy expected to return to work?
That day.
And then do we have any idea what time or when the Canandaigua police officer will return to work?
He'll remain on paid administrative leave for the time being. Once we get farther into the investigation, we've got a final report from the state police, and we've worked with the DA's office to see what their process is going to be after that. Then he'll return to full duty after that.
As far as the court process goes, I know you kind of touched on it yesterday, but is there anything new with that as far as grand jury presentation?
No, we're still working through there's still things that we need to do with the investigation, have the opportunity to sit down, talk with the investigators here and review everything, and then make a determination. We also need the results of the autopsy, so it's not something, again, we're going to rush to make a decision or rush to judgment on. We want to make sure we have everything we need to make the right decision.
So what's the next step?
Well, we're continuing our investigation. We have several steps. Several people will still be interviewed. We have forensics results we're going to need to get from different items that we've taken, and once we have everything we need, we'll put a report together.
So was the autopsy report supposed to be completed today? And if so, is there a blockage or something else?
Well, with the autopsy reports, a lot of times you'll get a preliminary report as to cause of death, but there is a lot more that gets done as it relates to the final report, and those are the things that take a longer period of time. And so that's where
toxicology could take up to 6 months to get back.
Right.
So we don't know yet at this point if there could be any drugs in her system or anything like that?
Have you been in contact with her family? Any of you?
Yes,
I think we've all had contact with the family.
Can you just kind of specify what they're going through right now, what their reaction to all of this is?
They're grieving, and everybody's grief is unique to them. They're, coming to grips with and navigating the loss of their mother, their sister, their loved one. That's not something that has a time period or is, can be generalized. They're grieving, and we appreciate that. And again, we said it yesterday, we'll say it again today. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family, with law enforcement, with parole. This is tragic. This is tragic, and it goes without saying. So we're not going to make any kind of judgment as it relates to their grieving process. It's something that none of us, I pray, ever have to go through.
Did the family have any contact with her to think something like this would happen, or did this kind of come about as somewhat of a surprise to them, could you say?
I don't think any of us can say one way or the other what the interaction's been with the family.
Is the family in New York City? I believe most of the family are downstate towards the city.
Does she have any family here in the region?
Not that we're aware of.
And Chief, just to kind of to go over how the officer is handling all of this, it must have been tough for him to deal with the fact that he's firing on a fellow state worker.
Well, I think, anytime, it's every officer's worst nightmare, it's a taking of human life. So I think what happens a lot of times in today's times and social media and stuff like that, people tend to forget these are people that just wear uniforms. They're no different than anybody else. They have all the same feelings, emotions, stresses that everybody else have. And sometimes I think people have a hard time looking past those uniforms. So, I could tell you, he's obviously shaken by it. And coupled with the fact that this was somebody that was shot, that was in the law enforcement field and the law enforcement family. So, that has an impact. So I think people need to stop for a second at any time when they were talking about people in law enforcement and think, it's just a uniform that these people are wearing. And so they have all the same emotions that run through them that we all have every day. So my heart goes out to him. My heart goes out to to Sandy's family. I can't imagine what they're going through right now, and the Canandaigua community grieves with them. And all we can do at this point is be there to support everybody that's involved. Be patient. Let the state police do their job. I have the full confidence that they're going to be methodical, and that if it takes 6 months to get every single answer, then that's what we're going to get. But I think people need to remember, it's always easy to sit on your phone or your laptop and get on social media and speculate and want a rush to judgment, but that's doing a disservice to Sandy, to Sandy's family, to the officer, and to the officer's family that's involved. So I would just ask for people, respect the process, like I said yesterday, be patient and be understanding.
Are you going through the notions of making sure that he followed all the protocol that he was supposed to do?
Part of what we do is we'll do our own separate internal investigation, and that process usually starts at the completion of the criminal investigation, all right? Because we don't want to compromise or impact anything on the criminal side. So we will do a review of the incident, and we'll do our own internal investigation separate from what the state police have done.
Good.
Once again, how many people were in the apartment at the time of the shooting?
It was just her and the police officer, so just the two.
And any idea how long it's going to take to substantiate the use of the force was needed?
I'm not going to give you a timeline. As the chief just said, we don't want to rush to judgment. We don't want to make false accusations out there, so we want to make sure we have the facts, we have them correct. We'll take as long as we need to make sure it's correct and we get it right. Just want to make sure we get it right.
And then is there any recording devices that were used either in the apartment complex that could give audio later and things like that? Is that a part of the investigation?
There's nothing that we're aware of at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.